Hello everyone. Today we are going to look at how to model a dumbbell in Blender, and in the process we are going to learn how to add modifiers and how to edit a box to create a more complex object. So let's get started. We'll go to File, Load Factory Settings, and by default there is one box. If you go to Edit mode, you have access to the vertices, edges, and faces of an object. This object is made up of vertices. If you hit the A key here, select deselect all, and then if you click on the button here, this is for selecting vertex, the next one is to select an edge, and the next one is to select a face. So if you right click on a vertex, that vertex is selected, which you can move around. Okay, and if you right click, it will go back to its original position, or if you release the mouse, then you can undo it. The edge is the line connecting the two vertices, and then the face is a surface that connects the edges. Whenever you are modeling any object, it is a best practice to have a four-sided face most of the times. All right. As you go further and model more objects, you will understand the importance of having four-sided faces, how to create them, and how to manipulate them. The next thing we are going to look at is, if you go back to the object mode, we're going to look at some modifiers. Modifiers are found in this tab here. We're going to look at a subdivision surface modifier. You can see that the cube has been more faces have been added to smooth the object, and then if you increase the number of subdivisions, the smoothness increases. What is happening is, every time you click here, the number of faces that are used to create this object is increasing 4 times. Okay, so you have to be very careful about how many times you increase this, because if you have too many faces, your file can become too big and it may even crash. So you have to be a little careful about it. So around 6 seems like a good smooth surface, and you should not be going beyond 6. Okay, once you apply a modifier, if you apply it, for example, if I leave it at 4, and then if I go back to edit mode, I can get the basic object back to me, and then I can select that one vertex, and the multiple vertices of the subdivision object will be modified. Okay, however, if you go back to object mode and if you apply this, now you don't have access to your low poly geometry. Okay, now if you go to edit mode, now you're only left with the high poly object. So unless you are finished with your work, you should not be applying your modifiers and leave it there. Okay, also we will look in the future classes why would you apply and why would you not apply. So again, we will go back to A, object mode, and then I will have to delete this object. So let us get started with creating our dumbbell. So we will go to create cube, and you can see that the cube is created where you place your cursor. So that's our cube. We are also going to look at one more modifier, which is mirror, but we will look at it while we are working on this dumbbell. So the first thing we are going to do is go to edit mode, and we will deselect, so everything is deselected. We'll go to the face sub object, select this face. Okay, so it's going to extrude out here. We are going to create more faces, and to create more faces, if you go to tools, you have options here. So the first one we are going to look at is insert faces. So if you click on insert faces, you click on the button, and don't move your mouse drastically. Just be very careful about how you move. And what it is doing is it's creating more geometry without modifying your shape. Okay, so what we have done is we added an extra face. We'll go back to our object mode, and we will add our subdivision surface modifier, and you can see, I will leave it to 4. You can see how adding that geometry has affected our final geometry. So I'll go to edit mode, and you can see that this is where I created a new face, and I'm going to extrude it out. So I'll go to extrude region, and then you can go it this way or this way. So I'll go this way, and then I'll release the mouse. You get this geometry. Okay, now I'll go to vertex mode, and I need to select the entire geometry. So I can either use I can use any of these, and if you go here, you can see there is a select border tool. So I can click and drag to select all the object, and you can see that some faces at the back are not selected. Okay, if you hit A key, there is this button which says wire. If you click on this, it will let you see through your object. Like if I click on it, you can see that the back lines are not visible, and when you click on it, they become visible. So now if you hit the B key and then select the region, the entire geometry is selected. Okay, so you got to look around and see what you are working with. And then what we are going to do is we are going to move it back. See, there is a pivot point here. This pivot point is where our mirror modifier is going to be added. So let us look at how a pivot point works. So I'll go to again deselect all. Let us create a cube again, and it's in object mode, so we'll go to that was created when we were in the edit mode, so we'll have to undo it. Okay, so whatever was in the edit mode was we did undo into that. Let us create a cube in the object mode. Alright, and now if you look at the cube, if I select A, you see that there is a orange dot. That is the pivot point. And let us go to the rotate tool, select the object, and you can see that now you can rotate your object along that orange pivot point. So if you go here and then you say your pivot point has to be at the cursor, so this is the cursor, so it can be anywhere, and then if you rotate, it's going to rotate along the cursor. So I can put the cursor anyway, and then the object is going to rotate along the cursor. Okay, and then by default it is at median point, which is at the center of the object. So when we add the mirror modifier is going to be added where the pivot point is. So I'll delete this object and we'll select our object. Now what we need to do is we need to bring the pivot point out of this object in the middle here. So to do that, we go to edit. We want to make sure that all our back faces are visible if you click on here, and then you can use any of these and then the B key to select the entire object. Click on the move tool and you can see that the pivot point doesn't move, but the entire geometry moves. Okay, so if you hit the A key and now if you click on rotate in the object mode, now the pivot point, the median point of that object is outside of the object, and once we add the mirror tool, it will mirror from this point. So we will do that. We will select the object, we'll add the mirror tool, and there are the axis of mirror, so we'll use Y axis to mirror the object. Now what will happen is that when you modify your object, this object, the original object, this object is going to get modified as well, and in the mirror. So because our dumbbell is a symmetrical object, whatever happens on the right will happen on the left. So we'll go back to our edit mode and continue to model this. So we are in the face, go to tools, and we're going to use extrude region and extrude individual. Let me explain this also. So I'll again go to object mode and create a cube again. Okay, and we'll go to edit mode, A to deselect, and let us select this face and shift select another face. Select any two faces, and then we will look at the extrude tool. So there are two options, one is extrude region and one is extrude individual. So let us click on extrude region, and if you move, you can see that the two faces are extruded together. Alright, so I'll just click on it and you can see that the two faces are extruded out. Now I will undo it, and then again if I use extrude individual this time, you can see that they are separated. So that is the difference between extrude region, where multiple faces selected will extrude together, and individually, if you want them to extrude individually but select multiple faces, then you can use extrude individual. Okay, so I'll go to object mode and then delete that object. I'll select our object, go to edit mode, select that face, and because only one face is selected, it does not matter whether you select extrude region or extrude individual, because it's only one face, and we are going to drag it out. Alright, so once you extrude this out, okay, what we need to do is we need to get rid of this face. So we will hit the delete key and delete the face. Then we can use the vertex mode, hit the B key, and then we will drag it so it merges. Okay, now you will see that undo it. I'll drag it a little inside so you can see that they are separate. Let us not worry about it right now. Once we apply the mirror modifier, it will become one. Okay, so now what we need to do is, if you hit the B key, we will hit the A key first to deselect everything, and we need this to be sharper for our dumbbell to be having a nice sharp edge here. So I will hit the B key again in the edge mode, and select the edge mode, hit the B key, and select these 4 edges, and then I'm going to subdivide them so you get one line, and you can see that the edge is forming there. So again, A to deselect, I'll go to the vertex, B to select the 4 vertices, and I will move it closer, and then as you can see, as it goes closer, the edge becomes more profound. Alright, now what we need is again 2 edges here. So we will do the same thing. I'll go to the A key to deselect everything, click on the edge mode, B, and then make sure only these 4 are selected, and then I'm going to subdivide, and you can see that now you get a little sharp edge, so we will add an extra subdivision so that the sharpness is more. Okay, again A key to deselect, and now we will go to the vertex mode, and I will select B to select the top, and shift, again B, shift, no need for the shift actually. Okay, so all these are selected. We are going to sculpt it now. So if you go to scale, we will bring them closer. Okay, shift middle click will pan, and then move tool to move it closer, again scale to scale it and move closer. Okay, now if you want this to be bigger, you can scale in X, Y and X, and then if you go to view right or view front, view left, back. Okay, and then we'll go to orthographic. Okay, and then you can then make sure that it looks squarish, and then again you go to perspective and make sure that it is perspective mode. So now our work is done, so you can apply the mirror. You have to be in object mode to apply it, and now if you go to the vertices in edit mode, you can see there are more lines in the middle, so you can go to the vertex mode, B key, select these, and then you can merge, add center, undo. Oh, the bottom one also got selected, so again A, make sure that B, only these 2 are selected, and then merge at center, A, B, select these, merge at center, deselect B, merge at center, deselect A, B, merge at center, and that way you will be able to merge those vertices. We'll go back to our object mode, make it 6, and the dumbbell is done. Okay, Now what I had done is went to the material and added a material to give it some color. Okay, so that's your first project in Blender, where you learned how to use the mirror tool, how to box model an object so that you get a more complex, more geometry from a basic box. Thank you very much.